Alabama. Roll On North America Tour, presented by Kenworth. Saturday, October 19th, Wells Fargo Arena. Special guest, 𝗙𝗵𝗋. Alabama, live. All your favorite songs from the greatest country band of all time. On sale now at HighVTix.com. Produced by Outback Presents.
We recommend listening to the CW Pod with a glass of Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Grown, distilled, well-rested, and bottled in Erling, Iowa. Now from the Channel Seed Studios, this is the CW Pod, fueled by Steeple Ridge.
Every time that intro plays, I can just feel Chris Hassel seething through the other end of his cell phone because we haven't replaced how the guy says Iowa. And now,
and that kind of creepy.
Oh,
It sounds like he just snapped one off.
You like a little whiskey, eh?
Yeah, he's got a little creepy edge to it, right?
Andy Fales is with me today. I'm fired up. And you have to go to work right now.
Yeah, you're making it hard talking about bourbon on a Tuesday.
I know. Well, that's what I was going to say, because ideally, I think we would all be like drinking some bourbon right now.
Oh,
having this conversation.
I would grab that bottle and I would take it down to the basement bar and cook up a big old fashioned and just call it a day. I would love to be able to do that. I'm nowhere near that point of the week, though.
I think your audience has a good idea of this because you've talked about it a lot. But you're a what do you call yourself?
Kind of a wannabe mixologist.
Mixologist. Yeah, I was thinking barista, but that's coffee. Yeah,
that's coffee. Yeah. I mean, I was a bartender in college, so I always had.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, down at the Spaghetti Works. Rest in peace.
Man, that place used to be iconic.
It was a happening place. It was a really good bar down on Court Avenue, and they had big Friday party called 𝗙𝗹𝗋, or they participated in that. That's Des Moines spelled backwards, and it was. I mean, really, there was only Court Avenue as far as like a big gathering area. There was no West Glen. There was nothing in Ankeny. There was absolutely no East Village, anything like that. I mean, it was Court Avenue, or it was, the Drake bars, or the glorious dive bars on Ingersoll. But that was it.
What year was that? What year would that have been?
That'd have been like 92, 93. That's a long time ago. But so that's kind of where I cut my teeth. And my dad was always kind of he always liked to tinker at home. It's probably because he liked to drink. But I mean, he was always making stuff for punches and stuff for parties. So not that I was sitting there sampling his wares when I was a little kid, but I kind of picked up on it because of that. But then really during the pandemic, I really kind of got back into it and just probably went overboard and had fun with the Instagram photos. But I love to bartend. I
did that with the meat smoking.
Yeah.
I went out and bought a Traeger, and I just started smoking ribs like 4 times a week.
You and our friend Dave Zavolinsky, and
he's a really good cook.
He is a phenomenal cook. Yeah. I mean, he and I kind of, back when he was still living here in Des Moines and working over to Channel 5, he and I kind of would cook on the weekends, and we would, he was just kind of getting into it, and I'm older than he is, so I was kind of, better than him. He has blown me away. I mean, he is one of the best cooks I know. He's incredible. I
remember he was still living here. He came over to our house, and he made these steaks, and this marinade that he just concocted, and my wife was just completely blown away. She was like, "Dave is welcome here anytime." After that, and we used that steak marinade that Dave came up with. Because the thing is, Dave.
Let me ask you: is it red wine vinegar, garlic, soy sauce,
honey?
Oh no, that's not mine. No.
Rosemary.
Oh no, that's not mine. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I have a couple of really good marinades too. And
okay, there you go. The new segment on Iowa Everywhere. Andy mixologist.
That's why I like Fairway so much, right?
Yeah.
I go in there and I load up with their stuff, and then even if you don't buck up for a ribeye or something, if you just get one of their top of Iowa sirloins and you marinate that, there you go. Thank you, Waden.
Still good.
It's phenomenal. It's better than any steak that you'll get anywhere else. I mean, you marinate that overnight in a good marinade, and oh my God.
This is why I wanted to have you on the show, is to peel off a few layers of the onion here.
I know you're killing me though. I'm ready to cook and get drunk, and it's only Tuesday.
Real quick. So, how are you enjoying the new venture? Being here with us, and obviously 15 years on the radio. It's very different. Like you're doing the same thing, but it's still different. Are you enjoying it?
We love it.
Good.
Love it.
I loved how uncomfortable Keith gets when you guys cuss. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, you and Hassel. I know. I mean, he's going to do him, and we're going to do us, and I mean, we're going to talk. We're going to be authentic, right? And he's not a guy that swears a whole lot. The rest of us do. So, but that's the thing though. And we're going to get complaints from people that are like, stop swearing. Man, on TV, I don't. And on the radio we didn't, but in real life, we're trying to make these podcasts real life, closer to real life. And that's what we want to do. So we're going to do us, and you do you. And
like what I always tell people, we're not doing it to impress you or right. Like it,
no,
it's like
there's nothing worse than somebody.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be like a machismo like loser who says the F-bomb. Like no, it's like I'll say it when I would say it normally, right?
Yeah, like somebody that like doesn't know how to cuss, and they'll be like, "What the shit is that?" And you're like,
"Yeah, no, it's fun. I've enjoyed your show. I always listened when you guys were on 𝗀cie𝗰𝗶𝗿, but I liked the shorter form too, because I always felt like is quote unquote talent when I was doing 3 hours a day daily on 𝗀cie𝗰𝗋. I didn't like it towards the end. At the beginning, I think I was like just cocky enough where I thought people really cared what I thought.
Yeah.
At the end, I was like, I'm not that interesting to give 15 live hours. I don't have enough, especially in this market in June. And I just like my brain was just fried, and like so to be able to do less, like I think makes me stronger. Are you feeling that at all? I know it's really early, but that was my number one takeaway when I started doing this.
Well, I think we feel a little rushed right now.
Probably
we had 2 hours on the radio show, but we had so many commercials. By the last 2 years that we were on, our commercial breaks were like 7 and 8 minutes long, and those are so long. It's so much to ask of a listener to stay tuned that long, and we were so flattered that they did, because they did. But at the same time, it just really ate into your content. In that, I mean, we were on the air for 2 hours, but we were probably only doing about like an hour and 14 minutes worth of content, and 18 minutes of content, because of all the breaks and the promos. And then some of the breaks would be like, iHeartRadio doing some, iHeartRadio's, best in Arizona contest. And it would just be like, why is this airing in Iowa? It just didn't make any sense. And that is the best thing about this, is that we are doing this ourselves. We're doing it with some of our best friends, you guys, and we're doing it here for us, and the dollars stay here, and we don't have to pay some, dark overlord down in Texas, 90% of our profits. I was, I do a lot of the work with our sponsorships for our show, and I was talking to one of the sponsors who was with us over at the radio show, and he brought out one of the invoices, just showing us what he was being charged when we were over on the radio show. And it was all spelled out there. And I think he was paying almost $3,000 a month, and Murph and I got $100 of that. And all the rest, I don't know what, like 10, 12%, I guess, went to the account rep. and then all the rest went to iHeartRadio down in Texas, which is just obscene. We did all the work. We brought in the clients. We're the ones that wrote the commercials. We're the ones that kept the contacts going. We did all the work, and we got none of the money. So, I mean, just out of principle, that just deflates you. And we, still worked hard out of pride, but now it just feels good. We're like, okay, we are in this, and we are the ones that get to reap what we sow.
You guys deserve it. I mean, after many years as you guys have been doing this, and because it doesn't work. Like, not everybody can just do what you did, right? Like, you have to have a certain level of following and the faith that your advertisers will come and that your audience will come, and all of that's happened. So that's a testament to what
I
you guys
agree with
built.
that, but I mean, honestly, the one that did it was you. I mean, if we want to be perfectly honest, we went back to January of 2020 when, just one day, iHeartRadio said fire all these people, and you guys were just out in your can. You all had successful shows. You were all working really hard. You were all working for peanuts, and they fired you all. And we all talked, and you were like, "This is not going to happen to me again."
No, yeah, you're right.
And that planted the seed. And we're like, this will happen again, but there's no control over this locally. This is going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we say legacy media, I think people use that term too loosely these days. You're talking about, these conglomerates that are, this is what it means to me, legacy media. These conglomerates that have bought up all these TV and radio stations and newspapers around the country that have all done the work over the decades to build an audience, to build a readership, to build viewers. And they've done all the work, and those viewers have stayed loyal, and they've been listeners, and they've stayed tuned in, and these conglomerates now are just basically coasting on the fumes that are left over from that full tank of audience. And they are not putting any money back into the product. They're not paying their people. They're just counting on the audience, especially here in the Midwest, because we are loyal people. They're counting on that audience to just, keep doing their daily routine and listening and reading and watching what they've always been watching. They're built in like a legacy,
mm-hmm.
And
it's a good way to tie that all together.
Yeah, these conglomerates are just basically taking all those profits. I mean, they're skimming off the top, but they're not skimming. They're like dipping the bucket all the way in and pretty much emptying the well.
And the big problem too, I think specifically in radio and newspaper, more so than local TV. You know that I just don't know local TV nearly as much as you guys do. It's the one that I've never really worked in. But the problem like that radio has that I see, and really distribution with newspapers too, is that it's hard for these conglomerates, because they are so big, to monetize smaller markets. Mm-hmm. Like, so they really radio, they care about Chicago and even like Minneapolis up to the north. They're well funded. But the problem is when you get to a certain level, there's just only so many people, and if you can't make enough of a profit margin on that population, but it's a lot like college football realignment. Why did Rutgers get into the Big Ten? It's because they're in New York. That's why. That's literally the only reason they got into the Big Ten when they did. And unfortunately for us here in Iowa, we have an insanely engaged audience, like sports talk, radio, local news. The Des Moines Register is
all the way across.
Yeah, it is so engaged. But the problem is if it's not showing profit-wise in New York City or wherever these things are headquartered, it doesn't matter because they don't have the local tie. They don't care. It's a dollars and cents thing.
Well, I think they flat out take the money that we make here and they apply it to other stations in other markets that aren't making money. And while we clearly feel like we're killing it and we have full commercial breaks and big we big shares of the market. We're not living like it. We have to live like everybody else under that corporate umbrella because they have to spread those profits around. Well, first of all, they got to take care of the giant salaries that management has, and then they spread those profits around. So, you know, you can work as hard as you want. It's not going to make a whit of difference in your life at one of those local stations.
I was so loyal to 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃. I grew up on that place, and I still am really good friends with a lot of people there, right?
We all
This
are.
is nothing personal against any of them. But I mean, I was there 8 years. At one point, so you guys had some changes at the TV, and you had to go to earlier.
Yep.
So they moved us earlier. So this is after I got fired and brought back. And then they moved our show to 3 hours, which is, but I didn't get paid anymore.
Yeah, they didn't pay anymore. No. Well, but then they always try to spin it like, well, you know what? This is an opportunity for you to be on the air for another hour,
Chris, this is we need more of you in drive time.
I am so sick of that bullshit. I mean, because that's exactly what it is. That's just bullshit. It's not. That's not true.
I was dumb enough to.
You know, that used to work on people back in the early '90s when you were dying to get into these mediums, and people would do anything, and I did anything. I would do anything and work for peanuts just to have the opportunity. Well, you know what? You can make your own show now. You can make your own TV show.
Yeah.
You don't need these people anymore. But yet the legacy media companies are still operating under that model, believing that they can, you know, still handle people this way, and they can't.
I was making less money in my 8th year than I was in my first. And I was working more.
Which is just absurd.
And we had really good ratings. It wasn't like we sucked.
No, but you're the one that stepped out and said, I'm going to do something about this, and I'm going to start my own company. And, you know, that's bold. Takes a lot of courage. Takes a lot of ingenuity. And, you know, you've always just been somebody that was kind of an entrepreneur. Not kind of. You are an entrepreneur. And you're somebody that has always had that, you know, those kind of balls. And you know, I can't tell you how much we appreciate that about you. You had a lot going on, but I mean, you're a self-made man, Williams.
Well, I appreciate that. I grew up in the independent thing, though. I mean, that's why I am the way I am with 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. We were just
right. And once you've shown that you can do one thing, then you
and I was
take
like,
a chance on another.
Why wouldn't that business model work over here, right? But before that, I was a radio guy,
right?
So I kind of stole radio's business model into 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, where we started doing like sponsored content. Like, remember back in the day, they would send you guys, or not you, but like Ken Miller, they would go to like these conference media days and they'd sell the package, right? Like,
we used to, yeah, absolutely. We would do that with TV too.
You guys done, like bowl games. You and Murph would be out doing your show, and so we started doing that with the Cyclone thing, and then it's all kind of evolved. And but I was telling one of my friends over the weekend that 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 and I were and everybody else. It's been more than just me and Chris for 2 years, that's for sure. But we were kind of like still just I was mocking the Stivers Ford thing. I said we were still the couple of guys that say fuck on the radio on the Waukee side of West Des Moines, but then you and Keith came in, and you guys have given us like mainstream appeal, because we weren't. You can say anything we want, but we aren't mainstream. Like,
you guys are pretty mainstream, and
I don't know.
Are you kidding? Yeah, everybody knows you guys. Yeah,
I mean it more in like you guys are more commercially viable than we are. Does that?
Is that what you want me to say? You want to be kind of a rebel?
No, it's not even that. But like it did, like it legitimized us though. Like so, we seemed like we were just a couple of guys having fun with side gigs, and then you and Keith came over, and people I think now are like, oh, this is like an actual, thing that's going to be here for a while.
Actual grown-ups working over there.
Yeah, look, you have a tie on.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have to go work. I do have to go work. Yeah, I mean, it's, we all started together over the Channel 13 sports department. You were an intern. 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 got his first real job there. And so basically this is just kind of coming full circle.
It's the Keith Murphy coaching tree.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I mean, it just...
Van Winkle, too.
It all goes deep, though. I mean, we still all work with kind of the same people. I mean, how long have we been working with the writers in Iowa City? those guys. How long we've been working with, Randy P. and Dave
Oh, yeah.
Sproul and, those guys. And I love seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
God, I mean,
everybody's rooting for each other.
they are. Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all, I don't know. That's one, one of the many good things about working here. I've worked in other markets and people just don't get along like this. They're hyper competitive.
And we've seen that like when Peralt came over.
Yeah.
And
we're like, what is up with you, dude?
He's just wanting to fight everybody all the time. And like,
yeah.
Matt still, I get along with Matt.
I love doing a radio show with Matt. I mean, he really knows.
He
how
got
to do
here
it.
though, and it was Boston, man. Like, it was like, fuck you, you're not taking
yeah.
my endorsement.
Well, he
like,
was talking
whoa.
that way. He was like, I don't go out with other people from other shows. We're like, fine, sit home alone. I don't care. But he was acting like that when he was over in Omaha covering Creighton, and we were with him down at the Missouri Valley Conference tournament the one year that Drake was so good in 2008. And
oh yeah,
he was like, Drake, that one-hit wonder, Creighton, this is their tournament. They're going to roll. And we're like, who's this guy? And then Drake rolled him, just smoked him.
Then he was your coworker a year later.
Yeah. Why don't you put that in your pipe and smoke it there?
And he was Travis Justice's co-host, right? He was. When he was in Omaha, I used to listen to them.
Yeah, over in Omaha he was.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were. I don't know what that was.
They did afternoons together in Omaha for a while. So like it all is, it's a very incestual.
They had to get him out of there before Travis kicked his ass in the middle of the street.
The other thing I love about you is your love for dogs. I wanted to do this before we go. Because we have, how old is Lewis right now?
Lewis is about 4 months old now.
Okay, because Diffie is like 13 and a half weeks.
Took that picture of Lewis the other day. He was watching me mow the lawn. So he's growing.
Good for him. He's just sitting there.
Well, I'm on a riding lawnmower, so yeah, I'm very glad that he's not following me around. But yeah, he was probably about to go get an apple. I have an apple tree, and they're really ripe right now. I'm falling off, and both of my dogs gorge themselves on apples every single day. That's Bernard. He is a Cardigan Welsh Corgi. He's our other dog. And
that's a good dog.
My daughter
right there.
Helen there. Yeah,
not that Lewis isn't, but those are great dogs.
Yeah, it's funny because Bernard is 8, and Lewis was taller than. And that's Archie.
I remember Archie. I used to feed Archie.
Yeah, that's right. I used to make you go feed him when you were an intern. There's Archie. Yeah. So I've had many dogs. I do truly love dogs. But Lewis is taller than Bernard. You see Bernard's little 6-inch legs there. It's really tough when he goes out to take a piss in the 8 inches of snow. And his tip is like 5 inches off the ground. Can you imagine that?
He probably doesn't hate it though.
Peeing into the snow with your tip in the snow.
So I don't know about you, but like my dog Diffie right now is erect all the time.
Just gets those red rockets
all the time. Like he's at the stage right now.
Well, what you're telling me is you need to start calling him Stiffy.
It appears Stiffy's got a Stiffy.
Happen. What he's sprung right there, like right there?
No, not right there.
Okay.
But that one's from about 3-4 weeks ago. I'm not kidding you though. Like anytime he's just sitting still and not trying to eat something or chew on Elise's leg, or he has an erection. He is erect all the time.
That's one of those kind of unwritten rules about being a dog owner or a person around dogs, is that you just kind of have to look the other way. I mean, first of all, you want to look the other way, but you're just like, everybody's like, yeah, the dog's got a boner, and we're just going to talk about something else.
So I had only had female dogs until 𝗀𝗃𝗃. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd never had a male dog. And this makes me sound so stupid, but I took a laxative for 14 months, and I told you guys about it, so I'll tell you this story too.
It's one of the greatest stories ever.
Not hiding anything here.
Yeah, so if you've got another one, I'm here for it.
We have 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃. I've had him for about a week and a half. This was, 10 years ago. And for those who don't know in the audience, my wife is a veterinarian. So, like, obviously, animal health. Like, if I got a problem, just driving it to the clinic, right? I don't call anyone. This is what I do. And I thought 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 was bleeding from his penis. Yeah, this is 10 years ago. I thought his penis was bleeding. Oh my God! I grab him, throw him in my truck, drive him to the clinic, where I walk in there again. All these healthcare professionals for animals, and I'm saying to my,
and the blood is gone, right?
Yeah, the blood's gone. And I'm saying to them, I go, I don't know what's happening. When I picked him up, his penis was bleeding. It was bright red.
That's one of the things I love about you most, Williams, is you are so honest about your naivete.
I got nothing to hide. So they give me shit every time I go into that clinic still. Anytime I bring a dog in, they're like, oh, does he have an erection?
Does he have another one of those bloody dicks?
I will never ever live that one.
Well,
down.
because
but it's startling if you don't know what you're looking at.
But you grew up and you didn't ever see those?
No, I didn't. I always had female dogs. I never had a male
dog.
I,
but I mean, I had other people had male dogs, and
But when they get older, you don't really see them, right? Like, I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃's had a boner.
It's always kind of weird too when you like just see. I am all for spaying and neutering dogs. If you are not showing your dog, you should spay or neuter your dog. That said, I mean, there is quite a bit of research that says that you with the males especially, you need to wait a year or even 18 months to let them fully develop, because
we're doing that
a lot. And I'm going to try that this time. And I have not done that before, and I've not had problems, but I am going to try that this time. But just seeing a male dog walking around with just a big full set swinging there in the rear, and some dogs,
they're huge.
I mean, we were at RVTV 2 weeks ago when we were in Perry. We went to this bar, and the bar owner has an Irish Wolfhound, which is one of the biggest dogs in the world. I think they might technically be the tallest dogs, and they're not the heaviest, but they're like 35, 36 inches at the shoulder, which is enormous. It's bigger than a Great Dane, or right at the same size or a little bit bigger. This thing was intact, and his set was like swinging this low. It was just like,
it's got to be uncomfortable. Well, he's just used to it. It's just him
hanging there like a
did it look cool?
Pantyhose full of oranges. No, it didn't look cool. It looked like a giant hairy ball sack, like dangling between his knees. It was, and he wasn't an old dog. I was just like, what? Why does this dog need his balls? I don't know. Maybe he was into showing them or something like that. But
I mean, I would like to think most dogs are neutered.
Yes.
So when you see that, it's very startling.
Yeah,
it is to me at least.
Like, yeah, and I think you see a dog that's not neutered, and you got one of two very different things going on. You've got either a really irresponsible owner who doesn't know better, or you've got like a super responsible owner who's into showing dogs and or is like we just said, trying to let their dog fully develop. But I mean, if you have an unneutered male dog, they can be a real problem, right? Especially they start pissing on stuff, marking territory inside.
Lifting their legs everywhere.
They do that inside too. Some of them will. And then of course they get loose and and they're so driven, and they smell a female in heat. God forbid that dog is gone.
Another quick story here about irresponsible dog owners. So we had Diffie for a day.
Yeah.
Okay, we pick him up, and we're heading back north because we got him down in Georgia. There was an acquaintance of my wife.
That was
somebody she knew.
Really long trip for that.
It was. I'm glad we did it though. We made it. We went to a Braves game. We did some sightseeing. We went hiking down in North Georgia. Is awesome. I didn't even know that area was like there. Down in the Appalachians.
Up in the
so
mountains,
cool.
Yeah.
So we made it like a family vacation. And we're coming back, and we stop by this Civil War site that's in a mountain. It's like right on the Tennessee-Georgia border. And I didn't think through this, and we're walking Diffie around this state park. Not state park. It's this giant national. Not a national park, but it's this huge deal. There's hundreds of people there. And every person wants to pet this dog.
Because a golden retriever puppy is one of the cutest things in the whole
yes.
planet.
And didn't think about this, and it's starting to get really exhausting. Just let us walk around. Like, well, this other dog, this guy and his big ass, I don't even know what this dog was. I think it was a mutt, to be honest with you. Approaches us, and Ashley's like, pick Diffie up. Pick him up, pick him up, pick him up. Because she didn't trust this owner. She could just see how this dog was acting. And she's like, that dog is
out of control.
Yeah. So I pick him up or whatever. And this guy, keep in mind, we're in the pretty deep South here. That dog ain't ever hurt nobody. You can put your dog down. That dog ain't ever hurt. And I'm like, well, he's only 8 weeks old. He hasn't been vaccinated. We're gonna hold on to him. And you want to see my wife get so pissed?
Yeah, they're not vaccinated. Yeah, not fully vaccinated. They're just partially vaccinated at that point. You really are supposed to keep them away from the other dogs.
Yeah. So this guy says, "Oh, you want me to save you some money?" He goes, "You go into the back of Tractor, and they can get you the same medication that those veterinarians are giving. You just put it right between their shoulder, save you thousands of dollars.
Go get you some ivermectin and be COVID-proof while you're at it."
I thought my wife was going to shank this guy. I thought it was all over. Steam coming out of her ears. That's how you piss off a veterinarian. You start doing shit like that. She worked back home for about 2 weeks, did like some relief work, and couldn't do it because it was just too many. You're lucky if you get to put the dog down. Yeah. Because a lot of them they handle it, right? And it was just a real eye-opening deal for her. So that's why we ended up back up. Otherwise, I don't know if I would ever move back up here if she would have wanted to do veterinary medicine down in Southwest Iowa. But
yeah, and you know, there are all sorts of different owners in all different regions. I mean, there are ones that are careful and ones who are careless, and it's too bad. And you just wish that the world had nothing but good dog owners, but they don't. And you know, the people that, I don't know, I always feel kind of bad. They'll get a dog, and then they'll have kids, and then they forget about the dog.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. The dog just gets
completely neglected, and I absolutely hate driving around and seeing a dog that's just clearly confined to the backyard. Just put him out there, and there's like just a worn dirt run around the perimeter of the fence, or even worse, the ones that are chained to a tree. That just boils my blood. I hate that so much. But you know, I mean, there are you know, people that go the opposite direction too, and they're just so opinionated about the way that you have to be a dog owner, and they're so overbearing and judgmental of everybody else, and you're just like, would you step off, ma'am? You know,
back off.
Yeah, it's so annoying, and you know, I have been, see, it's weird. I have I think an interesting history with dogs, and that my dad and my grandfather and my uncle worked their entire careers at Ralston Purina in the world headquarters in St. Louis. So grew up around all the dog chow and all that, and you know, and then the good dog food too, not the dog chow, the Pro Plan and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then my grandmother was really into purebred dogs. She just really loved purebred dogs and had all these dog books, and so we would always read them when I was a little kid, and so I really got the bug, and you know, would read those books whenever I could, and we would go to dog shows, and I still go to dog shows just for fun with my kids, and you know, so we just had all of these really interesting purebred dogs around, and anytime I will put out a picture of Lewis or Bernard when he was little, he was an Instagram star. You know, inevitably, you will get some message from somebody saying, why did you buy a purebred dog? There are so many dogs that need homes over at the Animal Rescue League and at 𝗚 57 Rescue. And they're right. They're right about that. And those are wonderful charitable organizations, and the people who work there are angels. I donate to those places. I should donate more. We all should. There are dogs that need homes. And you can absolutely go there and get a wonderful dog. But I like purebred dogs. I like dogs that were bred for a purpose, and I like to try to use them a little bit for that purpose. And I know I like to know what I'm going to get. And also I feel like when you have little kids and you have another dog, you have a responsibility to know what you're getting into when you get a new dog. And I think that I don't think enough people think of that stuff. And, look, I mean, it starts with wanting to be a good dog owner and wanting to, take your dog to obedience training and really work with your dog and take care of your dog and, maintain its, veterinary visits regularly and all that kind of stuff. But it also just takes some forethought, right? I mean, you have to be like, okay, what is this dog going to be like as it grows up? Because everybody loves like cuddly little puppy, but what is this dog going to turn into? And when you get a dog, from, even if you get a purebred dog from a rescue group, you don't know. You don't know what the parents are like.
Yeah, because we all have our own lifestyle that we want the dog to be able to fit into. We camp a lot. I have to have a dog, if we're going to be able to take it and be a part of our family the way we want it to be, that cannot destroy the camper when we are gone, right? Like that has the temperament.
You want a trainable dog, a dog that's chilled out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, when you get a retriever from a well-bred golden or lab, for the most part, what you're getting. You still have to put in the work, but yeah, you're not going to get some crazy territorial, flock guardian dog that's going to attack anybody that comes within a 50-foot radius of the trailer, or, a dog that's going to be so overprotective of your girls that if their friends come over and are playing with them in the yard, the dog is going to misinterpret that and then take the friends down. You don't want that. And I love those dogs. I mean, I love guardian dogs. I love, protective working dogs, but man, you got to be a really engaged owner, and you got to socialize the hell out of those dogs. And you got to just commit to like being the alpha in that family and making that dog just a total beta. And that takes a lot. I mean, it does. And people don't understand that. And, so Aiden, real fast, put up that picture of Archie again. The last one that I sent you. So Archie was an American bulldog, and I got him from a breeder who, no, those are Bernard. There you go. He was 95 pounds, and I got him from a breeder here in Iowa he's just full of red flags. His mother died like shortly after the puppies were born. I didn't know what the parents were like, but we knew the owner, and they were like, my wife has to have a complete hysterectomy. We need to place these puppies. Could you take one of these puppies? And I was like, oh geez, this is an American bulldog. Those can be a menace if they don't have, a lot of structure. And so I took Archie and worked really, really hard with Archie. And I was really a hands-on owner, and he was just a lump of sugar, and he was super gentle. But man, there were other American bulldogs out there that were not, socialized and trained like that. And, those dogs, while they were all really sweet, I mean, you click one of those dogs on, some other dog wants to fight with them, and they're going to kill that other dog. Some person pisses them off, and you're going to have a real problem there. So you have this amazing responsibility when you have a dog like that. And so it could go the other way. When you're getting a purebred dog, you get the wrong kind, and you can have a real problem. But if you're thinking, I want a dog with these attributes, I just feel a whole lot safer and more sure of myself when I can research the breeds and really, talk to the breeders, talk to a rescue organization for that breed, That's usually the best thing to do. And then, you know, get on the waiting list, and then, you know, as you did, as I did, go pick out the puppy, and then, you know, with your family, and you really make a lifetime commitment to the dog.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We got so much heat. Really pissed me off. So many judgmental comments when we got Diffie.
Yeah.
A couple of things. My wife had a connection, whatever. The biggest thing, though, is so our first Golden was a certified therapy dog, and she died very young. The second one.
Did you train her into that, or was she? Yeah,
we did that.
Okay.
Yep. The second one, he was an best dog I've ever had, 𝗀𝗃𝗃. But he was too alpha. Like he was dumb. Like I couldn't train him. Like training Paisley was the easiest thing. Like I could teach her a new trick in 10 minutes and she would retain it forever. Our 9-year-old really wants to make this dog a therapy dog. Like that, she wants to show it in the fair, do agility with it, do all kinds of stuff. And like, yeah, if I'm going to do this for my 9-year-old to be our family dog, I'm not just going to roll the dice with whatever happens to be at the ARL at the time, right? Like it's, and I'm with you. Like my wife, she still does furry friends. It's a no-kill shelter in West Des Moines. Like
right down the street from me.
My wife has done thousands of spays and neuters at that place, and like you can appreciate everything.
Yep.
You know,
and you understand where they're coming from, but there's a big difference between a responsible breeder and the irresponsible ones. And you can practically you can look. You go on the internet and you in 30 seconds I can look.
You
at
can tell if it's a puppy mill out of nowhere,
or even just somebody that is breeding to make money, which is the wrong reason. I mean, good breeders really don't make much money at all on a litter. I mean, maybe a little bit. They cover their expenses, and that's about it. They do it for the betterment of the breed, for the love of the breed. They show dogs, and they have other people that are just like, your dogs are so wonderful, we would like one of your dogs. And they do it for the right reasons, and they agree to take the dog back, the puppy back at any point in the dog's life.
Yeah, you have to sign a waiver.
Wrong.
Like if you're going to get rid of the dog, you have to let us take it first.
They'll make you sign a spay-neuter contract. Those are good breeders. And, the problem is that Iowa is loaded with terrible breeders.
Yeah.
And they're making all these designer breeds, the golden doodles, and the labradoodles, and the burner doodles, and the whatever doodles. I mean, those are people who don't care about their dogs, the people making those dogs, because they're taking any responsible breeder would never let their dog go to be bred into some, other dog. They just don't. So, and that's a problem. I mean, these people are clearly doing these because there is a demand for these mixes and they want to make money. And so they do it to make money, and they don't health check the parents. They don't back up these puppies. And, those are a problem. They give the whole thing a really bad name. But I mean, if you look past the surface, you could clearly see that there are many conscientious dog owners who buy purebred dogs for the right reasons. And they don't, they're not just, poo-pooing the situation in America of too many dogs and cats.
Well, what we should do this, because one of my favorite parts about being independent is that we can do charitable things for things that are important to us. We should do something for the ARL or furry friends or something like that down the road. Hassel would love to be a part of that too.
I agree. He's a big dog owner. Big dog buff too. Yeah, and look, the ARL and Amy Hines and Bree over at Furry Friends. I mean, they're wonderful people. The Colvins at the ARL. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
Man, they got a tough job. But I would be happy to help them in any way.
Some of the things that they've seen too from these dogs that'll just get dropped off.
And they see the bad breeders.
Oh, my wife's, I'll never forget. It was her first day. She worked at Furry Friends. It was her first job. I mean, she was making no money.
That's a no-kill shelter too. Those are the toughest ones.
You guys did a story on it. I know it's still out there. There was a trailer park where there were like 40 some dogs in one trailer. It was a hoarding situation. Her her first day of work was, and it was like regional news. Like, I mean, this got picked up all over the place. It was all over the place. And she came home like 3 hours later than she was supposed to. And I've never smelled anything that bad in my life. Like, we had to like fumigate her car.
It's just horrible. And these poor animals have been living in this
feces. They're just literally
years.
living in feces.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Like, eating
dead animals. Yeah. I mean, it's the worst thing that you can imagine. And you know, I've done stories also where, you know, these dogs come in from these rescue situations, and they are taken care of by the people at the ARL, and you can tell that that's the first time that a person has been nice to them. And they go into these kennels at the ARL, and there'll be a bed for them, and you realize that's the first time that they've laid down on a soft bed in their life. They've been in a wire cage. And it is absolutely heartbreaking.
And they have fresh water just there for them.
For the first time ever.
Yeah.
But then we'll go back a week later, and they've been bathed and usually shaved and treated, and the light is in their eyes. And, you know, some of these breeds, I mean, that they do this with is, you know, Cocker Spaniels and Labs and, you know, Yorkies, and, you know, they are really sweet natured breeds. And so that part has not left them yet. And they are, even though they've been mistreated their whole lives, they are still willing to give people another chance. And that is what really, God, that really touches me. But, you know, that said, there are plenty of good, responsible breeders of purebred dogs who are in it for the right reason, and they're not filling the world with unwanted dogs. So I think you can do both. You can donate to the charitable causes, you can support them, but you can also buy, I'm a firm believer that you can also be someone who likes to buy a purebred dog and know what they're bringing into their family.
Dogs can be a part of your family and still be like a hobby too, is the other thing. It's like some people,
absolutely,
cars are your hobby and you want your certain type of car, right? Like
people
I'm a
who
Corvette
show
guy.
dogs. Yeah, people who show dogs, people who do agility training, people who hunt with their dogs, and people that, you know, Iowa is full of amazing sporting breeds out there hunting pheasants and ducks, and it's so cool to see, you know, a lab or a German short-haired pointer out there doing what it was bred to do, or a golden, or, you know, a Brittany, or a Springer Spaniel, or even like something like crazy like a Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever out there doing what it was bred to do, making this commotion on the bank of a pond, and it like draws the ducks over, and then the hunter jumps up and shoots.
Never forget, Dirks was a pup, and we were out walking somewhere, and I kind of just let him go because there was no one else around. We weren't in the dog park or anything, but he saw a bird, and he dove into this pond, and watching him swim. So I didn't teach that dog a thing, you know. He just knew exactly what to do, and he came back to me, and he shook it off, and, you know, it was beautiful.
That's amazing. And yeah, that's stuff that you can do with your dog, and you get active outdoors, and it you know, your dog inspires you to be more active. I mean, that's truly what I love. And what we'll be doing with Lewis here, Iowa, not full of lakes and stuff, but I had a Newfoundland. You probably saw Eva also.
Yeah.
She loved to swim, and we were always down at Gray's Lake and Blue Heron Lake over at Raccoon River Park, and not the cleanest lakes in the world, but, you know, not the dirtiest. And they just still love to be out there, and it's so fun to see a retriever in their webbed feet just jumping in after a buoy and coming back with it.
Thank you. I know you got to get to work. This was fun. I want to have you on more often and keep doing stuff like this. But I love having you on the team, man. Thank you so much.
Now that we're all set up, well, we absolutely love it, and we are honored to be here and feel really grateful that this has all worked out. And most of all, it's just fun being back with your friends and seeing them more often, right?
Absolutely. Just to start, buddy. Andy, you get out of here. I'm going to thank a couple sponsors, and we'll watch you on the news tonight. All right.
All right. Thanks, Williams. See you soon.
All right. See you, buddy. That's Andy Fales, Murph and Andy, 1, 2. Well, around 2. they're not tied to anything, so they can go a little bit longer. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, right here, wherever you're watching Iowa Everywhere. I do want to thank our friends at Lonely Oak Distillery and Steeple Ridge Bourbon for their continued sponsorship of what we're doing here on the CW Pod. Another reason why I like doing this is because we can get sponsors that mean something to us. I've known Pat and his team over at Lonely Oak for a long time, and really good people, and they make an incredible batch of bourbon. I absolutely love it, and we appreciate them. Also, our friends at Channel Seed as well. Well, that was fun getting Fales on here, and we will do that again. I'll get Keith on at some point as well, and take a little break from the minutia of the college football season this week. And I'm sure we'll be doing more of that coming up next week here on CW Pod on Iowa Everywhere.